Hello and welcome to another episode of the Trash Talk Podcast. I'm your old gentleman, and today I have Hollywood 6 from the Trash Talkers. How's it going? It's been a while.
Hollywood 6? Dude, things have been amazing. First and foremost, I want to thank you for having me aboard, man. Huge fan of what you guys do. Huge fan of the work that you put in to continue to make this go. So it's an absolute pleasure to have me on. I'm very thankful. Thank you.
So today, because it's kind of your thing, we're going to talk about conspiracy theories, and you've told me you've got something in mind that you want to specifically talk about.
Right. I do. You want to go and hop on that now? You want to do that?
Yes, that's how we started. First topic goes first.
Okay, so all right, so hear me out here. Hear me out here, JJ, okay? We all have heard of the Mandela Effect, right?
Yes.
So there is, and not necessarily, I want to preface this by saying this isn't something that I believe in necessarily, but it has some validity to it when you look at certain things. And again, this could all just be, hearsay or things that people are just putting out in the world and people are taking it in with no evidence whatsoever. But going on the topic of the Mandela Effect, most people that experience the Mandela Effect say that it happened between, 2010 to 2012. Now, where I'm going here is, if I'm not mistaken, Stephen Hawking actually said, I don't know if it was Stephen Hawking or one of our great minds of our era, they said, once we actually find the quote-unquote God particle, then everything's going to go to hell. Now, during this time, you remember the entire world was everyone was, going crazy. Oh, the world's going to end in 2012 due to the Mayan calendar and all that good stuff.
Yes.
Well, some people claim that the God particle was found. And the Large Hadron Collider, I'm sure you know what that is, where they take these atoms and they spin them extremely fast. I want to say at the speed of sound or speed of light, and they crash them into each other, which potentially makes a black hole. Now, some people are attributing the Mandela Effect being so prevalent in 2012 to now, and continues to get more and more freakier as time goes on. But ever since they slammed those two atoms together, or the God particle was found, it's almost like our universe, our dimension that we are living in now is kind of the same, but some people just don't see that it's like things are just off. Like, you got your obvious one of Sinbad being in a genie movie. That never happened. Or, Looney Tunes being spelled differently, or, Pikachu having a black stripe on his tail. Never happened. But these things didn't really start to come to fruition until the quote-unquote God particle happened, or when they slammed the atoms in together at the Large Hadron Collider. I found that interesting because ever since 2012, it feels like time is just, it's 2022, and we're halfway through it already. It seems like time is flying. Things are they're just happening differently. It's really hard to put it into words. But when you look at some great minds like that, and they say, hey, why would you take these atoms to potentially create a black hole? And when you did that in quote unquote 2012, and I could be wrong about the year, but I know it's in that time frame. But now things are slightly starting to alter. Just curious on what you think of that.
So, I actually, while you were talking about that, looked up, obviously, the timing, because that was something that was very important to me. And the first test run of the Large Hadron Collider was in 2008, but in July of 2012 was when they discovered the Higgs boson, which I think is what you were talking about.
Yes.
So, at the very least, your timeline seems to check out.
Okay.
So, the Mayan calendar is interesting because it doesn't really run out as much as it just loops back around on itself. The theories of what that would mean from like a metaphysical interpretation vary wildly. Some people said the world would end, some said it would like reset in a way. Obviously, there's no particular reason why the Mayan calendar of all things should matter here. But it is definitely interesting that it comes at the same time.
Right.
As far as the Large Hadron Collider is concerned, I'm not 100% sure of how that something that acts on such a small scale would have such large impact, but of course, there's always like ripple effects of things that maybe aren't as immediately obvious.
Exactly.
I still would think that there's probably another cause there, but it's certainly an interesting point to make from the timing standpoint. I'm wondering, I don't know if there's like an easy way to look this up, but about how much internet usage, for example, has increased over time. Because I'm thinking,
I'm sure plenty.
The Mandela Effect might have less to do with like a fundamental change in reality, but maybe more so in what people are paying attention to. And I think it might have started in 2012, first of all, because that's maybe when people first came up with the idea, but then also just the more people talk about random stuff, the more likely it's going to come up, right? And so if you're just talking to a friend about it, then maybe you notice that you remember different things, but it's not going to be it's not going to be something that like you're not going to spread it throughout the whole world just because you disagree on remembering something. But then when a lot of people misremember the same thing, or I mean, maybe you believe it's
that's where it gets a little funky, though, right? Where a mass amount of people start to remember things like, "Hey, I know it was this way." That's where it starts to get a little funky. Wouldn't you agree?
I mean, in some cases, there's definitely explanations for why it is very obvious that you would have the false belief, right? So, for example, the Bernstein Bears, where their name is just a bit unusual, and there are similar names that you're more used to, so that's why you get the name wrong, right? The Monopoly Man with a monocle is also one that people tend to bring up a lot, which is
a lot of people very similar to the Mr. Peanut guy.
Yeah, also, like, there's just generally a lot of characters that are dressed like that, and a lot of them have monocles, right? So it's just a very logical association to make. And so, I wonder if a lot of it can't be explained by something like that, where it's just, your mind is very good at finding patterns, and oftentimes when your mind has two very similar things, it oftentimes merges them. I guess it's to save space or something, I'm not 100% sure of, like, the actual logic of why that happens, but so that's also why it's very difficult, for example, to recall something like very generic, right? If I like asked you about, I don't know, the last time you had a cup of coffee or something, right? You maybe wouldn't be able to, I don't know if you're a coffee drinker, but you wouldn't necessarily be able to recall the exact event, right? Because I drink a cup of coffee, like at least one cup of coffee like, almost every day, right? So what mug did I have yesterday? Like, I don't know, and maybe yesterday I know, but then if you asked me about a month ago, I have no idea, right? Because it all kind of blurs together. And so, if you have...
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
If you have similar concepts, like, for example, the sort of like the banker stereotypes that the Monopoly Man is based on, then they all kind of blur together in your head, and if a lot of them have monocles, then it's very easy to assume that this one would as well.
Okay, so asking you as a friend here, have you not experienced something since 2012 to 2022? Have you not experienced some? I'm sure you've experienced at least one example of the Mandela Effect where you know in your heart and your gut and your soul, I remember this being this way when I was a kid, but now it's slightly different. There has to be at least one that has affected you.
I can't come up with anything right off hand, but I'm sure it has happened. But usually I'm very good at, well, I mean, you can look at this both ways, but usually I'm very accepting of the fact that the human mind is fallible. And so if I'm like, oh, so my first thought is not, oh, something is weird here, but usually my first thought is, oh, I must have misremembered it. So because I very easily disregard that sort of false information, that
right, but now when you call it you misremembered it. But now that's just one person out of 9 billion. Now what if 8 other billion people remember the exact same thing that you did? Does that mean that's 8 billion people that just misremembered it?
I mean, first of all, I think it's 7.8, but not 9.
You know it.
But yeah, no. So again, because I think there are like kind of sort of these patterns that our mind forms, and it's very logical for if two similar concepts become merged in our head, that would happen for other people as well. Now, it is still notable that some things, most notably, of course, the actual idea that people thought Nelson Mandela had died when he didn't, which was a very common misconception.
That was the big one. That was the big one.
Which is, of course, the one it's named after. That one is
Yes.
particularly interesting because I don't know exactly what it was triggered by, but there are theories of like someone else died that was like had a similar position or something. I don't remember the details, but there are even theories of why people would misremember that very commonly. But
Yeah, but the thing that's interesting is there's a mass amount of people that are. I understand if it's just 1, 10 to 20,000 people. I would understand that, but we're talking millions, maybe sometimes billions of people that are remembering these scenarios.
it is so the problem is it's very interesting for sure, but also from me as like a coming from a more scientific standpoint, it's something that we can't really test for, right? Where like it is interesting, but unless we can somehow try to like create an event and then see how people remember it after the fact and see how that aligns, and then we can't really know what's going on. And even if we do, we would always have a psychological explanation that we would rather go to because it's just, Occam's razor, right? The simplest explanation is usually the correct one.
Yes.
And so it is very difficult to really say like you're moving to realities, or even, okay, so the idea that you're physically moving between realities to me is insane. But maybe some like...
Why is that insane to you?
Because just in terms of, conservation of mass, the fact that both realities counterparts would have to be in the exact same spot to switch, what would be more likely in my like if we say that the Mandela effect is in fact caused by interaction between realities, I think then my personal sort of hypothesis would be that maybe in some way the realities are close together, and the brain waves, because they are like electrical impulses, can maybe jump from one version of you to another.
Okay.
That because at that point you're not really moving matter, you're just having energy affect each other, which is
yes
simpler at least from a physics standpoint. And especially since we know that on a quantum level, matter behaves so weirdly, and there's of course the multiverse interpretation of quantum physics, which would support an idea like maybe electrons jumping from one universe into another, and then if the universes are... So if you have multiple universes, they split, and then they are somehow still maybe next to each other, as in...
Right. No. I get 100% what you're saying, but you agree that there are multiple... I mean, space is infinite, right? Would you agree with me on that?
So there is no definitive answer about that, right? So the observable universe is finite, but that is just limited by our observation technology. And if we assume that from the Big Bang the universe expanded, as is currently the primary theory, then the universe as we know it is in fact not infinite, because it expanded from a point and is still expanding.
Yeah, but I don't know if you can say that, JJ. I don't know if you can say that. Like you said, it's finite, but I don't know if you can say that as well. We've never been past what we can go past. So as far as we know, the universe is infinite. And going back to the Mandela effect here, is with this universe being infinite, who's to say that maybe there's another dimension? You've got all these dimensions, and if I'm not mistaken, real quick, didn't they prove that there was 8 or 9 other dimensions, parallel dimensions, or something like that?
So I think it's string theory generally tends to use multiple dimensions, and I think M theory is the most up-to-date version, which I think has 11 or 12 dimensions that they say...
Okay, that's what I remember.
...would have to be there for string theory, as I understand it, to work. But string theory is basically the main competitor to quantum physics, both of which aren't really well understood, and it is very possible that it's not a correct theory. But it's just...
Right.
It's hard to say, but there is no experimental evidence that confirms that alternate realities exist, but there are some theories, mostly theoretical, and go figure. And there was one experiment that I've heard of, which actually, or one observation that seemed to maybe suggest that there is other realities in some capacity, because they were finding some particles that they were expecting would normally come from space, but they were coming out of the Earth, it seemed, or something, which they were thinking might be because they were from somewhere else, somewhere getting transported there. But generally, there's no hard evidence for there being multiple realities. Although there is
exactly. But
suggestion.
if we're going with hard, and I think you're wanting for physical, tangible evidence to back up some of these claims. Am I right?
I mean, I personally will always prefer that. Yes.
Okay, so if we go down that rabbit hole for a second, so again, let's bring this back to the Mandela effect. There, in a way, there could be some tangible evidence because, like you said, with the string theory and that them recognizing, hey, it's a very good possibility that there are other dimensions. So maybe the dimension that's closer to us it's the identical. Everything's the same except you're sitting here and I'm sitting there, which could potentially have something to do with Mandela effect. And to some really big quantum physicists out there, they say, literally, there's an infinite amount of Hollywoods. There's an infinite amount of JJs doing everything down to that pause right there. Infinitely, to the point where our brains we really can't even decipher it. I mean, everything that happens, it's happening infinitely. And again, there is no way to necessarily prove that. But again, tying it back to the Mandela effect, and if the God particle or the Hadron Collider potentially started this, is because you slamming two atoms together, everything's made of matter and atoms, and when you slam these two things together and you get a small black hole, really small black hole, who's to say that black hole could not have we could have went to sleep that night and woke up and things seemed the same, but there are some things that are just slightly off. And I'll give you two examples with me that just blew me away. I don't know if it's really big, being here in Atlanta, Georgia, and you being in Germany. Here, and shout out to my dog Smokey. We grew up in Thanksgiving. You had Stouffer's stovetop stuff. Turns out Stouffer's never made stovetop stuff. It's called crab. No, and I actually put this as a poll on the YouTube channel, on our YouTube channel, Trash Talkers. Guys, go check it out. And I want to say 80% of people remember it being Stouffer's. And also another one that really got me is the song, "You Can Dance If You Want To, You Can Leave Your Friends Behind." Never said that. He says, what does he say?
What? I just said it's the safety dance. I don't know.
Yeah, the safety dance, yeah. But everyone knows, you can dance if you want to, you can leave your friends. But he doesn't say you. Never. He says, we can dance if we want to. Never. And I posted that as a poll, and literally almost 70 to 80% of people said, no way. It's we can dance. Or magic mirror or mirror on the wall. Everybody remembers mirror on the wall. It's magic mirror. And where I'm going with this is just small, minor things. Yes, it could be the exact same reality where I wake up, I have the same job. You wake up, you go do the same thing. But there are just some minor things that are different. And who's to say that was not caused by two atoms slamming together to create a simulated black hole?
I think the main problem is that while there is some interesting points that you make, first of all, you're not going to convince me. I'm pretty sure, unless
I already know. I already know.
And then, second of all, from a scientific standpoint, it's just as long as we don't have a way to falsify the hypothesis, it's kind of not worth entertaining. So the idea in science is that you start with a falsifiable hypothesis, and then everyone tries to basically falsify it, and then if you can't, then that is probably true. And so, because
you asked for a conspiracy theory, and isn't that the thing of all conspiracies?
Yeah.
I mean, hey, it's just...
see, that's the thing, right? I can't definitively say that that there isn't alternate realities that influence us. I can't definitively say the other way around, but right now we don't have a way to prove it one way or the other, so from a scientific standpoint, we almost must disregard it until we have a way to test it.
Okay, well, if you want to go by that logic, we really have no way to determine on how the pyramids were built. So, again, because we scientifically, and dude, I've seen someone break it down, like you'd have to have a ramp, and if one person was off by a millimeter, and scientists still can't accurately say, and, some of the greatest, contractors can't accurately do or replicate the exact same thing of that pyramid being, on the three belts of Orion, on the same latitude on the entire world. So by your logic, you're saying, because we don't know how those pyramids were built in short amount, and we're talking one block being about 3 or 4 tons, and that would mean like one person would have to work on this nonstop for like 233 years just to create one block. So by your logic, you're basically saying because we don't know how it's done, it's basically just it doesn't mean anything because you don't know. You can't just dismiss it like that, right? I mean,
it's a little different, right?
You see the pyramids. You see them with your own two eyes, right?
Yeah, but we have. So the reason why I said we have to dismiss the hypothesis as it pertains to the Mandela effect is just that there are psychological explanations for why that could happen. It is still a little strange that it happens at a large scale, but we have alternate explanations, right? So it's not like, and even if we didn't, then we can always just say we don't know why it's happening, and we can't investigate a possibility that we cannot falsify, right? Because it's kind of like the whole God thing, right? When people say, like, does God exist or does it not exist? Right, from a scientific standpoint, because God is supposed to be above, like, everything, and even, like, basically being above science and logic even, then you can't disprove that a God exists, right? Because you could always just say, like, oh yeah, this thing that looks like the God couldn't exist actually was made by God so that it looks like. And so, if it's not falsifiable, then there's no point in, like, using scientific inquiry to really try to figure out more about it because it's impossible, right? So, science just... I think at the current stage, science cannot answer the question whether or not there is alternate realities that are influencing us. And I think right now the safest assumption is just that it's not. But I think we are also starting to repeat ourselves a little bit, so how about we move on to the next thing?
Okay, real quick. I just want to and we can move on to the next segment. But I just want to know: do you not necessarily believe, but do you have any? Is there anything metaphysical that you're like, you know what, like a soul? Do you have a soul?
No. So souls, I definitely don't believe in. I mean, in terms of metaphysical things, I think I've said this before. I think when we talked about ghosts, like way back when, like 2 or 3 years ago. But I want there to be metaphysical things out there, but I don't believe in any of them.
Because you don't have...
Yeah, because I don't have proof, right? I try to conform my view of reality as closely to the understood ways of functions as possible, so it doesn't really leave a lot of room for those sort of beliefs.
Hey, I get it. I'm totally... I mean, we're all entitled to believe what we believe. And like you said, yes, I do see that we're going in circles. It's your belief. Whatever you want to believe, that's what you believe in. And I respect it. I respect what you believe, and that's it, man. That's it, basically.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I also... I mean, if you want to believe that it's a multiverse, then you can also, of course, go ahead and do that, especially since there's no way to disprove it isn't that, so it's not like you're believing something obviously wrong, it's just something that... So it's...
That can't be proven.
Even better that way. Because I do sometimes get frustrated when people believe something that's, like, obviously wrong, and, like, can be easily disproven. But in the case of something like the Mandela Effect, while we do have alternate explanations that are maybe more likely, we can't really disprove the, like, multiverse interpretation of it.
And, I don't know if you can tell just through our short conversation here, but you've known me for 2, maybe, what was it, 2, maybe 3 years we've known each other now? What do you think?
That's a good question, actually. So we did our last podcast about 2 years ago, or at least that's what YouTube says. And we have done podcasts together since it's probably about 3 years, yeah. Okay,
so yeah, I don't know if you can see now, but I've definitely matured, and I've come to and going through personal life experiences and talking to the source. We'll have to talk about that off camera, but going through things in my personal life, I've learned to say, or not necessarily be so stern about, hey, this is what it is. Trust me, this is why I think this way. Why does this work this? I've grown to learn to myself to know, hey, I don't know. And at the end of the day, these are all just theories. And I have to have an open mind if I want to learn. And everyone should be that way. You don't know. A lot of times you don't know.
I mean, that's basically what I was saying, right? I try to interpret information, to try to integrate information as best as I can into my worldview as well. So that certainly is something that I think we can agree on. We've been going for about half an hour, so let's go into our facts of the week. And since you're the guest,
okay,
you go first. What is your fact of the week?
I'll go first. So, dude, we've been talking about this, and I'm going through, and I'm like, dude, there's so many facts, and I know that you guys, here on your podcast, even back when we were all doing it together, you guys had did the fact of the week, and I bet there's so many facts that you've heard of, and you're probably like, dude, whatever you're about to tell me, I'm sure you've heard it. But I've got one here that I didn't know, and pretty interesting if you ask me. All right, so you ready for this, JJ?
Yes, I am.
Did you know that female dragonflies fake their own death to prevent rape? Did you know that?
I did not know that, no.
Dude, why are male dragonflies such douchebags? To the point where the females have to fake their death just so they don't get raped. Terrible.
I mean, they're not the only animals in the world that have defense mechanisms for that specific purpose. So, I mean, that particular one was something I wasn't aware of, but yeah, the animal kingdom is wild, and rape is a lot more common than you'd think.
Oh, dude, dolphins are savages, dude. Dolphins do it to humans, bro.
Yes, that is definitely something to be careful about, because I believe,
excuse me,
if memory serves, dolphins are very dangerous to humans in that way. So
yes,
you don't want to get involved with that.
Yeah.
On a slightly less down note,
what's you?
I have an interesting sports fact for you that I found out about earlier today, and so the International Cycling Union did decide in 2014 that due to the doping scandal involving what's his name? How it pulled up? Lance Armstrong.
Okay, I think I know where you're going here.
So due to him doping, of course he had to forfeit his wins, and because doping was actually very common in general, they actually decided that from 1999 through 2005, there just are no Tour de France winners. Just no one won. Like we're not gonna update the rankings. We're taking his win, but no one else is, like, the runner-ups still not winners. They're like,
wait, and when did they start doing this?
So, in 2014, 2012, sorry, they decided, I think, on that. But 99 through 05 is when there were no winners officially.
Dude, I've heard a fact about that was and I want to say it probably relates to what you just said here, but there one year that I want to say it might have been the first or set whenever he came out with the scandal, so if he placed first and they found out that he had some banned substance in his body to help him become first place, they said that they'd have to go down to, so if they took his first place and he got gold medal, the second place would get the gold medal, and if he's doping, then the third place would get gold medal. They said they had to go all the way to the 8th place for that person to be the one that is not going to piss with some sort of steroid or something in their body. Yeah. 8th place is back, so that means the first 7 are on dope or doping. That's crazy.
Yeah. So, here's the quote. It says, "The management committee decided not to award victories to any other rider or upgrade other placings in any of the affected events. The committee." That's not very interesting. Yeah. So they were like, yeah, this is. In its statement, the UCI said it acknowledged that a cloud of suspicion would remain hanging over this dark period, but that while this might appear harsh for those who rode clean, they would understand there was little honor to be gained in reallocating places. There's like, this is so fucked, we're just not gonna bother with it.
Listen, everyone's doing it, we're just leaving it alone. That is funny, dude. Wow. Let me ask you a question. Do you think there should be any sport where steroids should be legal?
I think you could make it in every sport if you wanted to, and just have separate categories. Just have like.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, just have one competition for those that are clean, and one competition for those that are doping. Just
right.
I mean, we're already splitting most sports into men and women, so like, might as well like add more categories, right? We're splitting a lot of sports into age categories, and
yes,
for fighting sports, we also split them into weight categories. So like, we're already like splitting categories left and right. So if you want, just Make another category.
Yeah, see, I'm a huge MMA fan, and I'm glad that they took steroids out, but I think that either being just speaking from an MMA standpoint here, either it's legal all across the board, and everyone, in order to compete in MMA, you have to take steroids. But there's one sport, and people may hate me for this, but I'm gonna say it. There's one sport where I think steroids should be legal, and that's American baseball. Because baseball is boring, dude. But back when Barry Bonds and Sammy Sosa, when they were jacked to the gills, everybody's on steroids. I mean, just homer after homer. That should be the one sport where steroids should be legal.
I mean, the thing is, because baseball is not very interesting to me either, I just don't have a strong opinion on it, right? So, I would say that generally I understand why doping is generally banned, because there's also, of course, if you do allow it, then because it's usually not very healthy, that's also has some problems. Also, one thing that I will say about doping, where I think it should be changed, maybe the guidelines, is that a lot of sports still ban marijuana usage, which
yes, dude,
is actually very bad, because it's very useful. Marijuana is very useful to manage pain, for example, which you get injured a lot doing professional athletics, and marijuana is one of the best pain meds because it actually is not addictive as opposed to most of the pharmaceuticals.
Yes.
And the effect doesn't weaken over time. So, like, if you take it the first time and if you take it, like, the 100th time, it's still going to have the same effect.
Now, again, I don't know if you're going to think the same this way or think that this is accurate, but you know why it's illegal in most sports. You know why it is, right?
Well, I mean, mostly because American politicians didn't exactly like hippies and blacks, so,
Exactly, and a lot of it has to do with big pharma. It's like, hey, like again, being an MMA fan, you got so many fighters who the UFC actually allows them to smoke marijuana except for the night of the fight, and they know that because I mean Nate Diaz, dude, they would smoke, but these are complete vegans, and they say we don't want to take the pain medication, we don't want to be doped up and go through withdrawals and just let me smoke a joint. It's a natural herb. But big pharma, and this is just Hollywood's opinion, I think that it's hey, think about it, dude. If marijuana can cure stress, anxiety, cancer in some sorts, alleviate pain, take away all these disorders, mental and physical, why would you not want that out there if it's a plant you can grow in your backyard? If you ask me, the number one reason is money. Because you can't do it in sports, but you're making millions of dollars playing that sport, but you can't smoke marijuana. As a matter of fact, just take these pills right here and be addicted and a slave to big pharma. That's what I think. It's just straight money.
I'm sure there's certainly a factor there at the very least. I'm not sure about cancer. So you mentioned something about cancer. I think cancer patients usually get marijuana also for pain management, I think. I don't think it has directly curative properties, but I also am not an expert on that, so
I can't definitively speak on that, with I'm gonna leave that alone because I know it's a touchy subject. But yeah, go on.
Which brings us to our halftime show, and we wanted to bring something back that we haven't done in a while, and that Hollywood, as a matter of fact, has never done, and that is the Language Squad. Can you guess the language game?
Oh, this is finna be great. This is finna be great, dude. So, this is finna be great.
This, supposedly, is the greatest language identifying and guessing game, and we're gonna see if Hollywood can guess the languages.
Okay.
And since I'm gonna have you guess, which I think is more interesting here, I'm gonna let you choose a difficulty. Do you want beginner, easy, medium, or hard?
Can we do two different ones? Can we do easy first? Can we do like 5 and easy, and then do like 5 and medium? Can we do that?
We can do that.
Actually, no. Let's do 5 and medium, and then let's do 5 and hard. Let's try that.
Okay, medium has 58 different languages that it could be. And let's start the game. So the difficulty just determines how many languages are in the pool. So, and also the pool for beginner just has easier languages in general. But all the languages for easy are still in here. So I'm going to play the audio. You should be able to hear it too. And then you can guess which language it is. In this case, the options, of course, I hope you can see that, are Korean, Mongolian, or Swedish.
Okay.
미 국방부 당국자들과 전문가들은 이 사드가 매우 독보적이면서도 다양한 특징들을 갖고 있다고 설명합니다. 우선 대기권 안팎에서 적의 미사일을 유격할 수 있다는 게 대표적인 특징인데요. 이 사드 제조업체인 미국의 로키드 마틴사의
So what do you think that was?
Okay. Definitely not Swedish. I'm gonna say Mongolian.
Okay.
And the reason. Go ahead.
Yeah, sir, go ahead.
Well, the reason I'm going to say Mongolian is because the other one was Korean, right?
Yes.
Okay, the reason I'm going to say Mongolian is because, I was a fan of Squid Game, and, they spoke Korean a lot in there, and it didn't really sound like it, and I could be wrong. And I've been to Sweden, spent a lot of time in Sweden and familiar with the language. So, I'm Mongolian, dude.
So, I'm going to always enter the decision that you made, but I think it's Korean. It was Korean.
It was Korean. Okay, wow. Huh. Yeah, you'll have to read off my choices here because I can barely see them.
Okay, fair enough. So the choices this time are Uzbek, Danish, and Mandarin Chinese.
Og hvis der er nogen, der synes, de har hørt Pia Lauritsen her i programmet før, så er det fordi, hun optrådte for knap halvandet år siden i en udsendelse.
Danish.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. That seemed pretty doable. Okay, Romanian, Albanian, or Polish?
Apelował papież podczas swej 10. pielgrzymki na terenie Włoch. W czasie swej toskańskiej pielgrzymki Franciszek zaznaczył, że taka postawa może...
No, wait. Play that again, please.
Apelował papież podczas swej 10. pielgrzymki na terenie Włoch. W czasie swej toskańskiej pielgrzymki Franciszek zaznaczył, że taka postawa może przyczynić się do odnowy Italii.
I'm gonna go Romanian.
I was thinking about it probably being Romanian as well, but I'm honestly not sure because they're all... Well, okay, Albanian and Polish are both Slavic. Romanian is obviously a Romance language, but with a lot of Slavic influences. It was Polish, actually.
It was Polish?
Because I thought it didn't sound Russian, so it was probably not...
Exactly.
So I was thinking it's probably not Polish, but then again, Polish is probably one of the more different ones as well.
Wow, that was Polish.
I guess if there was Romanian, if it would have been Romanian, I would have had to at least recognize some Romance words. So, this one being a bit easier.
Okay.
In terms of category, we have Farsi, which is also known as Persian, Afrikaans, and Russian.
Okay. All right. So what was the first one again?
What? Sorry.
What was the first one again?
The first one is Persian, which is listed here as Farsi, which is I think the official name, but most people call it Persian. I feel like, and then Afrikaans and Russian are the options.
All right. Go ahead.
Значит, даже с увечной тебе ничего не светит, если у этой
Russian all the way. All the way, dude.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. We have
This is
Hindi,
fun.
Bulgarian, or Maltese.
Okay.
Kellimi tal-koalizzjoni għat-teżor jgħid li qtuħ fir-rati tal-imax juri li l-laburisti tilfu kontroll tal-ekonomija. Jgħid li r-rati ta' interess għandhom wanqas taħt gvern tal-koalizzjoni.
Okay, I feel like this one is difficult, because I feel like there was a lot of words in there that are just very international. So,
yeah, I have a dude. If I swear to God, if this is Hindi, my Indian friends are going to, because I have a lot of Indian friends that speak Hindi.
I feel like just because of the intonation, I feel like it might be Hindi, but you said Bulgarian, so I'm gonna click Bulgarian.
Okay.
It was Maltese. Okay.
Maltese. Wow.
Maltese is an interesting thing because Maltese is technically it's a Semitic language, as in it's related to Arabic and Hebrew, but it has a lot of Spanish influences because of its location. I think it was Spanish, might have been Italian, but so it has it's kind of a mix between a Semitic and a Romance language. But I think this clip also generally used a lot of very international words, so that was pretty tricky either way.
Kellimi tal-koalizzjoni.
Wait, oh yeah, right. So that was actually, that was it for it. We got 1 correct and 3 wrong. Wait, that can't be right.
Wow.
2 correct and 3 wrong. It's 50
okay,
points.
yeah, so...
It's 50 points per one. Okay. And then if I hit play again, it goes right back here, which I didn't want. If I reload the page, does that? There we go. You wanted to do one round and hard.
Yeah, let's go down the hard rabbit hole.
Now we're up to 92 languages, almost twice as many as before. Well, 1.5 times. Ooh. But the first options are easy. It's English, Luxembourgish, or Hungarian.
The second
Whereas
one was what?
recognition of the inherent
Come on, I'm not even going to answer
and
this.
of the
Yes, you know what it is. This is English.
The second option would have been Luxembourgish, but the moment I heard him speak, I was like, I don't have to actually tell you again because, yeah.
Wait, Luxembourgish, where is that at? What's that?
That's spoken in Luxembourg. Who would have thought? Luxembourg is a small country between Germany and, I want to say, Belgium.
I knew that.
And Luxembourgish is effectively a sort of standardized version of the German dialect that's spoken in that area. So they eventually standardized it and gave it its own spelling, which is slightly distinct from like regular German spelling. And so whereas in Germany the dialects kind of receded a bit, they kind of intensified a bit in Luxembourg, and then also they have a couple of French influences because they used to be under French control.
Oh wow, okay.
A very interesting language. I can actually decently kind of understand Luxembourgish sometimes. A little bit, because I speak German, right? And also a bit of French.
Yes, there should be a similar dialect, right?
Yeah, especially because I actually live relatively close to Luxembourg. In terms of like, so it would also, I think they're both West Franconian dialects, so the one I speak and the one in Luxembourg, so it would be pretty close. Okay, German.
Okay, hey, so I'm 1 for 4. Let's go. Got 1 out of 4.
German, Croatian, or Khmer?
German, Croatian.
Des Weiteren darf kein Unterschied gemacht werden aufgrund der politischen, rechtlichen oder internationalen Stellung des Landes oder Gebietes, dem eine Person angehört, gleichgültig, ob dieses unabhängig ist oder Treuhandschaft steht, keine Selbstregierung besitzt.
Any ideas?
Okay. Dude, this is tough. I'm gonna, wanna say German, because I hear the strong pronunciation and word, but man, Croatian. Oh. My body's telling me to go with German. I'm gonna go with German.
Yes, it is very much German.
Okay,
I wouldn't consider it hard pronunciation, but yeah. No, it's funny for me to sit here because, again, German native speaker, right? Like, right. So to me this is trivial. It's kind of like when English.
You're like, dude. Right, you're like, what are you doing? Of course it's German.
Oh god. So we have Odia, Sudanese, and Vietnamese.
Okay, this should be fairly easy.
Một trong những lập luận chủ yếu mà Trung Quốc viện ra để đòi chủ quyền trên hầu hết Biển Đông không có cơ sở pháp lý dựa trên luật quốc tế.
I thought the same thing. Yeah, that was actually easy. Okay, Tongan.
3 for 5. Okay.
Tongan, Luxembourgish, or Hebrew?
Okay, Luxembourg. We just spoke about Luxembourgish, right?
Sorry, what were you saying?
We just spoke about Luxembourgish, right?
Yes, we
Wasn't
did.
that one? All right, read me the answers one more time, the choices.
Tongan, Luxembourgish, and Hebrew.
Okay.
Oku ikai ke tuku ai vilita ke taswa ke kauta ngai ofaini ai kau ki he vilita ke whanongoa pe ke no toka kina pe mo fai.
Sorry, what did you say?
I'm going with Tongan.
I think so too. Yeah.
Yes, sir. We on a roll. Come on, we on a roll.
Okay, Tamil, Kurdish, or Amharic?
I have no clue what none of these are, so let's go for it.
ئەم راپۆرتە بە زۆر گرنگ دادەنێت زانیاریەکان لە 29 وڵات کۆکراونەتەوە کە دەزانین خەتەنەکردنی کچان ڕوودەدات. هەروەها ئەنالیزەیەکی داتا و پرسیاری زۆر گشتگرت لە ژنان و کچان و پیاوان و کۆمەڵگا دەکرێت دەربارەی تێگەیشتنی ئەم ڕووداوە.
I think it's enough.
What are my choices again?
Tamil, Kurdish, and Amharic. I'm not 100% sure to pronounce the last one, to be fair.
Can you play like 2 seconds or 3 seconds?
ئەم راپۆرتە بە زۆر گرنگ دادەنێت زانیاریەکان لە 29 وڵات کۆکراونەتەوە کە دەزانین.
God, that sounds like Asian. I don't know. I'm just going to go on a limb and say Kurdish.
Okay, so Tamil is a language that is spoken in India, I'm pretty sure. Amharic is should be a Semitic language, so closely related to Arabic. And Kurdish should be related to Turkish, I think. It's a Turkic language. So I'm thinking it might be Amharic, but it could be Kurdish. I don't think it's Tamil.
I Ah, damn it. All right, I'm going to stick with Kurdish.
It was Kurdish. Okay.
Beast mode!
So the thing about getting to the sixth question, which we didn't do last time, is there are now 4 options.
Okay, hey, 6 is my favorite number. Let's do it.
There is Wu Chinese, Javanese, Slovak, and Tigrinya.
Okay.
Ngrumat wong-wong sing lagi loro gendeng utawa berpenyakit jiwa. Topan ngandani. Topan memetik pelajaran. Memetik hikmah menjadi perawat bagi orang-orang yang berpenyakit jiwa. Pengalaman iki
Woe Chinese was the first one. What was the second one?
Javanese. That's the language spoken in Java, on the island of Java. The third one is Slovak, obviously, language of Slovakia. And then Tigrinya, which is not necessarily immediately transparent where that is spoken. But I happen to have an idea.
All right, I'm going to go Woe Chinese. We're going to go Woe Chinese.
I'm tempted to say it's probably Javanese, but I'm not 100% sure. So Tigrinya, by the way, is spoken, I think, in the area of like Ethiopia, that area, I think, like Ethiopia, Eritrea, sort of. It was Javanese.
Let's see.
Like I said.
It was Javanese.
Okay, now we have Fijian, Latvian, Arabic, or Pampangan? I'm not even sure.
Wait, did you say Latin?
Latvian. As in, it's spoken in Latvia.
Latvia. Okay.
Should be similar to Lithuanian if it is that.
وبالفعل وسئل خامس بالحقيقة من قبل ماري ما إذا كان ما قام به عمل مجنون أو عمل نبيل وترك هذا السؤال للمستمعين ليجيبوا عليه ونحن من جير هذا السؤال للمستمعين شو بيعتقدوا وهل يجوز
Any idea?
What was the second choice? Where is that located? Sounds like an Eastern European country. And what was the last choice?
Pampangan. I'm not 100% sure how that is pronounced.
I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna go with the Pampangyan.
I'm pretty sure it's Arabic. But okay.
You think?
Yep, it was Arabic.
Oh, really? Okay.
That sounded very Arabic to me. Like the khas and whatnot. Yeah.
Yes. Damn it, I should have knew that one.
Okay, this one has a wide variety of languages, so that should be relatively easy. It is Swedish, Japanese, Maltese, or Greek.
Run it.
Sjön också, det är mycket, jag tänker på båtolyckor, det är mycket alkohol med i bilden när det gäller båtolyckor i Sverige. Men vad jag har förstått så har det gått neråt. Och jag har förstått så den här sommaren, många börjar beskriva att den här blir en historiskt fantastiskt bra sommar. Men det har väl konsekvenser med sig också för med sig när det är torrt så länge ute i markerna. Men svensk damfotboll har ändå väldigt hög kvalitet. Det brukar ju gå väldigt bra för dem. Jag tänker på VM och så. Slutligen, du berättade...
The one thing that I don't like is a lot of the stammering in some of these audio samples, but...
Swedish, Maltese, Greek, and what was the other one?
Japanese.
Okay, definitely not Japanese.
I would have said that too.
Don't know why Maltese. I don't know why that's like. What was my last choice again? My last choice?
What, your previous choice when you... Oh, what do you mean?
Swedish,
Maltese. Swedish, Japanese, Maltese, and Greek.
I'm gonna go with Greek.
I'm pretty sure it's Swedish, but okay.
I think you're right. Yeah, I know it was. I don't know. I always go against my.
I think he might have even said something about Swedes, because I think he said something with Svens, and svenska means Swedish in Swedish. So I'm not 100% sure. I didn't get much of what he said because Swedish is still not exactly a language I speak. So German and Swedish are like very loosely related, but like very loosely.
Right, man. So you're just bilingual, right? You speak any other languages other than
these days I would consider myself trilingual. I speak German, English, and French.
Oh, bonjour. Comment allez-vous?
I learned French over the last 2 or so years, like 2.5 years, sort of.
And
so
you would say you're what, 80% fluent? What would you say?
I mean, fluency is hard to define, right? So I would say that I could probably like get away in a lot of circumstances with my French. Like if I had to like get around France, I probably could. I watch documentaries in French sometimes, and I usually. I mean, there's oftentimes like sentences and stuff that I don't get, but like usually I can follow it very well. So that is how I would describe my understanding of French.
Man, it's I actually took French in high school for like
same.
maybe 3 or 4 semesters, and it was actually pretty interesting. Have you had any French dishes at all? Like any French food at all?
Well, I mean, crêpe, right? But like,
dude, try your croque monsieur. Oh my god.
So I mean, there's a lot of French food that just comes to Germany naturally because we have a border. But like, I mean, crêpe is very common. We have baguettes a lot. I think croissants are also relatively popular. I think all of the stereotypical stuff, right? I mean, the only French thing I can think of that's like somewhat special is like maybe coq au vin. But I didn't like it. Sorry, what did you say?
What is that?
Well, it's the name, right? It's coq au vin. It's chicken with wine. It's chicken that is like fried in wine, I guess. Well, it's like so you know.
And you didn't like it?
I wasn't a big fan. I feel like the wine taste doesn't go with the chicken itself.
You're right, actually.
So I wasn't for me. Like I think it's red wine too that they use, which I do drink red wine sometimes, and I do really like chicken. So in theory, I should like both those things, but I just didn't feel like they go together.
Yeah, dude, and again, you know I keep wanting to refer to you as an American, but you know our palates are different. You know your favorite food over in Germany, I might absolutely hate. You know, but every French thing I've tried, you know, escargot, if you want to consider that French. But I
don't think anyone else eats those.
Do you like them?
I haven't tried. I'm also not that interested, but I think that's a very French thing. I think we can count that as French.
Man, I'm telling you, dude. I just remember for when we were in school and in French class, we had to go to an actual French restaurant and get a French cuisine. And to me, I didn't want anything crazy. I just wanted a croque monsieur, and it was just like it was just like a perfect grilled cheese with, I don't know, like it had brie on it. So it was, I haven't been able to get another bite of monsieur yet, but I'm dying to have to.
Well, that, I think, brings us to our last main topic before we go to the songs. And that is something that I've done with Smokey before, but I don't think I've ever shown it to you. Sergey put a little thing together.
This should be interesting.
So Sergey, who I think you know a little bit, has put together a game. So are you familiar with Higher Lower? The game where you have to guess about Google searches?
Correct.
So we made our own version. And ours is about YouTube videos. So you have to guess which of these 2 videos has more views.
Okay.
And so every time you guess, it brings up 2 new videos because we didn't.
Wow, you're bringing up our old stuff.
So for the data set, we have every single video that the Trash Talkers channel ever released, and they're randomly chosen, and it just so happened to choose 2 podcast episodes. That was purely by chance.
Are you serious?
Yes, I am. Normally, I did it with Smokey, and like there was like once or twice that like one of them wasn't the song, right? Like almost everything was like music reactions. But your first guess is The Right Religion and Mythical Creatures Trash Talk episode 54 or R. Kelly and Serial Killers Trash Talk episode 10. Which one do you think got more views?
I'm going to say R. Kelly and Serial Killers episode 10.
That is correct. I should mention, because we scraped it off of YouTube, they are always rounded to like the 2 first digits. So in this case, you saw it was like 130 and 2,500. They're not 100% exact counts, but they should be close enough.
This is a no-brainer here.
Yeah.
This is a no-brainer.
I think so too, right? It's Rappers React, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Now what? Oh, now this is gonna be this is gonna be interesting.
Rappers react to Tool, Opiate Live, or rappers react to Devin Townsend, Kingdom.
Wow, JJ, this is a good one here, dude. This is a good one. This is tough because I'm gonna go as much as I want to go with Tool because it was recorded later versus Devin Townsend being recorded. I'm gonna go with Devin Townsend. You're gonna go with Devin. Yes.
That is correct by actually quite a bit. By like a factor of roughly 5.
Alright.
Rappers react to The Rumjacks, an Irish pop song, or to Baby Metal Legend D.
No question, no brainer. If I am wrong on this, I am literally throwing my headphones out and walking out. It's gonna be Baby Metal.
I was thinking that as well. And
wait, is it tied?
Yeah, that was a tie.
What? That's crazy.
So, of course, that has to do with the rounding, right? So, one of those would be slightly higher than the other, probably, in the real world, if I had your analytics, but just on this, yeah. Oh, we have two non-song reaction ones again. We have...
This is going to be
I Rode Shotgun with Warren G, Ramirez Road Stories, and an interview with Jonas Lorenzen from Nebala und Heilung? What? New Music, CERN, AI, Heilung, and more. Okay, there's a lot of them.
Yes. Okay, so shout out to Jonas from Nebala and Heilung. Amazing guest, very, very good guy to talk to.
So
guys,
is it just me or does it sound very German?
Yes, very German.
Jonas Lorenzen, Nebala und Heilung. Yeah, okay, got it.
Yes.
I had trouble reading it out loud, but then I was like, wait, this is German.
Exactly. Yes, dude. Yeah, but amazing guy. The interview that I had with Jonas was absolutely incredible. They make great music, and Ramirez Road Stories, him riding shotgun. Gee, that was early. That might have more views because it's early, and Jonas. As much as I want to go with Dog Smoke. Man, I'm gonna go with my dog on this one because I'm gonna go with Smokey's Ramirez Road Stories.
And it was not even close. 88 views for Ramirez Road Stories and 2,400 for that. So you've got 4 consecutive correct ones until you made your first mistake. Those are 3 fingers. 4.
Yes,
that's how we do that. If you want, we can do another round. Keep track of
yes, let's do another one.
And then I think after that we're gonna call it because we didn't want this to go too long. We said
right.
And. Rappers react to Muse, Won't Stand Down, or is Patrick Mahomes the best QB now? Trash talkers react.
So I guarantee you, what are we going to do? 5 of these? I guarantee you I'm going to get all 5 of these. Is that how many we're about to do?
Well, so I generally consider a round to be as long until you get one wrong, generally.
Okay, I'll get all these right. You ready? It's going to be Rappers react to Muse, Won't Stand Down. 100%.
Yeah, by far. I would have thought so too.
5.
Rappers react to Slipknot, Custer, or Spiral Out Sunday Road to 50K.
This is going to be Slipknot, Custer.
Yeah. Rappers react to Tool, Disposition, Reflection, Try It, or New England Patriots versus Pittsburgh Steelers live play-by-play.
Definitely, it's going to be the Holy Trinity by Tool. Definitely.
This is like... Why is it always Rappers react versus something else?
I think they're picking like polar opposite in views,
It's completely
but
bad.
I'm interested to see if they get like 2 reactions because that would actually be hard.
I mean, we had it earlier.
Yeah, and it was interesting. But so what do we have here?
Rappers react to Rage Against the Machine, Pistol Grip Pump, or Q&A with Trash Fan, JP Edition, Sandy Hook, Drugs, 9/11, etc.
We're going with Rage Against the Machine.
Yep, by like a factor of 20. Rappers react to Dodsford, To the Fall of Man, or rappers react to Soulfly, Jump the Fuck Up.
This is one of the ones I was just talking about, JJ. This one's going to be freaking close, bro. I'm going to go with Soulfly, Jump the Fuck Up.
And that is correct by like a factor of 11.
Gotcha.
Rapid React to Slipknot Vermilion, or Rapid React to Avenged Sevenfold Critical Acclaim.
Damn. I'm gonna go with Slipknot Vermilion.
That is correct. Barely.
Oh man,
close.
So close.
Trash Talkers try the Bean Boozled challenge, and Rapid React to 9 Inch Nails win this together.
Definitely 9 Inch Nails. Dude,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I could probably do this all day.
Do this like 80 times the amount of views. It's not even close. Rapids React to Avatar, Hail the Apocalypse, or Rapids React to Samsara, Blues Experiment, Glorious Days.
Now this is an interesting one here. I'm going, god dang, this is an interesting one. Let's go with, dude, I want to say Avatar. I'm going to go with Samsara Blues Experiment.
And it would have been Avatar by like a factor of 12.
Dang it.
Means you got a high score of 7, and the first time around you got 4. If I feel so inclined, I could maybe try look up how much Smokey got last time, because I should have probably looked it up beforehand.
Oh, did you do this with Smokey?
I mentioned it when I introduced the topic, actually.
Man, I would love to know what he scored on that, actually.
Let's see, mute site, blah, blah, blah. Not want to accidentally have additional sound on here. And where is the guessing thing? Was it earlier? Yeah, I think we did that earlier. There it is.
So what did I get? I got a total of 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 total, correct?
Well, you get 11 over 2 runs.
Okay.
And Smokey got 11. He just...
So we're...
straight through 11?
Well, he did one run.
Well, he got only 1 wrong in 11, and you got 2 wrong in 11, basically. So,
right.
Well, you got 2 wrong over 13 guesses, he got 1 wrong over 12 guesses. So he did better.
Yes, he did.
But to be fair,
Shout out my dog.
the matchups are of course random, so it doesn't necessarily mean that he's necessarily better, because we also have a very small number of runs.
Yeah, of course.
But that brings us to the last segment, because we want to leave you on a high note and a bad music pun. Which I haven't done in a while, except for when I had guests for some reason, like the bad music pun thing. Like, that joke, I don't really use that anymore. But now I did.
Okay.
Hollywood, what is your song of the week?
Let's hear it.
I mean, technically the way this works is you say the title and the artist and then I play it.
Okay. Great. All right. And if I could just give a little bit of backstory here. When me and Smokey started doing Rappers React, we got so many great songs from the Trash Talkers around the world. But when we heard, prior to hearing this song, me and Smokey we give this word out very, very seldom, but we give out, we call it a perfect song. Prior to this song, we have only heard 2 perfect songs. And when we say a perfect song, meaning there's nothing else that they could have possibly did to this to make it better. This song, Cradle of Filth, Nymphetamine Fix by Cradle of Filth, in my opinion, and in Smokey's opinion, is a perfect. Check it out. Ah, such a good song, dude.
I mean, I had to cut this a bit because we're not gonna listen to the entire song, of course.
Yeah.
So, me personally, I don't really like it, but that's just because, like, of the vocal style, right? Like, the screamo stuff, I'm just not a big fan of. But that's...
Okay, JJ, do me a favor. I get where you're coming from, but trust me, that part that you played, that was just that. The majority of that is real calm, layback. Do me a favor and check that song out.
I skimmed through it earlier when I made the clip for this, but I generally tend to, especially for songs that I don't know that well, tend to just pick the chorus, and that just happened to be the chorus. So,
dude, give that one a listen.
I have had other songs where it's just like a small segment like this, and I generally still don't end up adding them to my collection. But when we're talking to metal, I'm more of like a traditional heavy metal or power metal kind of person. And when we're talking power metal, and to represent Germany, I have Halloween with I Want Out.
We just did Halloween. Yes. Love Halloween. Dude, I'm a big Halloween fan, dude. After hearing Keeper of the Seven Keys, love this band.
So yeah, I actually looked it up. So I looked up that you had done Halloween, but you hadn't done the song, which is
yes.
How I like picking my songs in this case, because I don't want to like do a song that you've already reviewed, because on some level this is also like me recommending you a song, right? So I didn't want to recommend something that I knew you'd heard. But in this case, I also happen to have a band that you already had done. Yes.
I had no clue you were a fan of Halloween, but that's freaking dope. And the name of that song was I Want Out?
Yes. I feel like it's one of their more well-known songs, actually. But I'm not 100% sure.
Might be doing a reaction to that. Sure.
I mean, I'm not like the hugest Halloween fan, but I definitely like Halloween's style of music for sure. They're a band that I have a couple of songs of. Let's put it that way.
All right, listen, I know you want to wrap this up soon, but, I do want to ask you a question. Who are your top 3 favorite bands? Just curious.
Top 3 favorite bands?
What?
Oh, God, this is...
I know. That's why I asked you, because I remember back in the day you hated top 3s, but that's why I'm asking you.
The thing is, it's so hard to, like, definitively pick. I kind of also don't want to just go with, like, the first thing that comes to mind, because it probably isn't true, but just, like... I mean, I used to always say that, like, Bon Jovi was my favorite band, which I'm not sure if that's still 100% true, but they're definitely still one of the bands that I have a large amount of songs off as well, so they're definitely up there. I feel like I have to definitely mention the Stones, as in the Rolling Stones. I should maybe...
Rolling Stones?
And... I mean, in no particular order right now, I'm just trying to come up with bands that I like are really high up. But
the third one's always the hardest.
I was just saying that because if I have the top 3, like not even in any particular order, but what do I put as the third one? I'm tempted to go with like the very generic and sort of obvious follow-up from Going Stones and just saying Beatles, but almost that doesn't really feel authentic, right? Because I have a lot of Beatles songs and I like a lot of their songs, but I wouldn't say that any of them stand out as like top songs, right? Like some of the Stone songs, I'm like they're like some of my favorite songs, but I like a lot of Beatles songs, but I don't think I love any Beatles songs necessarily.
Right. I'm sorry to say it, but A Day in the Life by the Beatles is one of the greatest ever made.
A Day in the Life is really nice. Yes, that is true. Dude, who would I pick as a third one though? Nah. Oh, that's not even what I tried to go for. No, that's also not much. Oh, I mean, I guess the obvious one would actually be, I guess Volbeat.
Love Volbeat.
Because that is definitely, like, I definitely love some of their songs a lot more than I would say for something like the Beatles. So just
Volbeat's German, right?
Danish, actually.
Danish? 4EV. What does that mean? 4EV. What does that mean? You know?
I don't know.
Forever?
That sounds about right. That sounds plausible. Let's see. Translate.google.com. And let's say for evigt. Well, for evict? Is it that? Forever, it says here.
It is forever.
Is it F-O-R, though, in the title?
F-O-R, yes. F-O-R space E-V-I-G-T.
I mean, yeah, that is weird. That is weird enough that it's memorable to me. Like, but yeah, no, it just means forever. Which makes sense, because in German, you would say, well, if you want to say forever, you would probably say für immer, but you could also say für ewig. That sounds a bit awkward, but it's like, we have a cognate, right? evict in Danish, evict in German, and I mean ever in English. Those are all like related words.
No.
For sure.
No.
And of course, 4 is trivial.
Yes.
Yes, they're Danish. I mean, there are German bands I like, but probably none that would actually make the top 3 or top 5 or maybe top 10.
It's hard to not put Rammstein up there, man.
Not a big fan, to be honest.
Amazing.
Really? If we're talking German bands, I'd be much more likely to put some like Avantasia or I mean, Halloween we mentioned being relatively good.
Wait, is Halloween German though?
Yes. Yeah. I looked it up earlier today when I picked up the song. Halloween are German.
Wow. Out of all the comments and to the trash talkers who are watching this, I apologize, but I don't think I read any comments that said that they were German. You just taught me something new today.
Do you know what band is also German that you may or may not know? Scorpions.
Who's that? No way! Wow. That's crazy. It's like saying the Eagles are Vietnamese. That's what it sounds like to me.
To be fair, I don't think Vietnamese music has affected Americans that much, whereas Germany is still like in a similar market at least. But I'm pretty sure Eagles are American, but I can look it up.
No, I'm 100% sure they're American. If I'm wrong on this, if you say Croatian, I swear to God, JJ.
No. Like Wikipedia, when I typed in Eagles, redirected me to the animal. That's why I was laughing. Eagles are an American rock band formed in Los Angeles in 1971.
Yes. Hence the song Hotel California.
Yep. I mean, to be fair, just because they're singing about America doesn't mean that they're American, right?
That's very true. That's very true.
I mean, Texas Lightning are German.
Who?
Texas Lightning? I'm not sure. They're probably not that internationally famous, but... And what was I thinking about? The band Paper Lace sang a song called The Night Chicago Died, and they're British, so, you know.
Yeah, even, well, Kiss, don't they have Detroit City Rock? And they're not from Detroit, right?
Detroit Rock City, I believe the song is called. And Kiss redirects to the article about the touch of pressing one's lip against another person or object, which, obviously, right? So Kiss are from New York City.
Okay. American.
I thought they were American, but I think they're Gene Simmons is Israeli, isn't he?
Yes, I think he is actually. Like System of a Down, you know, Surge is Romanian, you know?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Gene Simmons was born in Israel, but he became famous obviously in the US. And I think he grew up there as well or something. I'm not exactly sure when he moved. Aged 8, he immigrated to the US, so yeah. I think, once again, as per usual with these sort of guest podcasts, we tend to, for some reason, drag out the Song of the Week segment. But I think this probably brings the episode to a close. Please check out the Trash Talkers. And once you're done with that, or maybe before, just, you know, hit a little like on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you want to leave a comment, you can do that below. And of course, we also have a Discord server. Hollywood?
Hey man, again, thank you so much for having me on. It's been an absolute pleasure. This was extremely fun, dude. It was extremely fun. I love the questions, love the trivia, man, and love sitting down talking to a fellow German trash talker as well. And guys, also, if you haven't checked us out, check us out, YouTube Trash Talkers. Me and Smokey, we sit down and talk crap and we listen to good music. And I appreciate you having me on, JJ. This was awesome.
You're supposed to say that's it.
Say it again.
You're supposed to say that's it.
I know. Set me up again. Go ahead.
Hollywood!
That's it?
That's it.